And this one I love because it's got that sort of starburst sort of pattern with a heart in the center. So I thought that was really nice. And these dies do come connected, so you do have to detab it yourself. If you want, you can probably leave it all connected, but then you're going to end up with a lot of really thin strips. So this largest die here will cut you out the frame with all of those aperture areas cut out. And what I did was I just ran it through with a different solid color cardstock so that I can have a different color in the background. And then you get individual dies for each of these segments, which leave you that perfect sort of thin border between that matte layer and the frame. So really, really awesome that you get all of the matte layers. The only section that does not have a matte layer die is the heart itself. So, but all of the other sections do have it. And one thing to keep in mind is that the dimensions for this die, for this frame, it's not quite USA 2 in size. It's actually closer to 4 inches, just shy of 4 inches really, by 5.5. So it's as tall as an A2 size, USA 2 size card, but it's more narrow. So just bear that in mind. And if you're cutting card bases to fit this, then they'll still fit in your USA 2 size envelope. So that's the good news there. But I actually still used my regular USA 2 size card base, and I just left a little bit of a white border on the left and right. I think it still looks pretty good. So I'm attaching all of these pieces onto some lightweight white cardstock just so that I can have a single panel to work from. And actually, if I had thought about it, I could have actually cut that layer out of the light pink that I'm inlaying back in, and that'll give me the same, or at least a similar look. The difference will be in the dimensionality. So by doing it the way I've done it, that pink layer is flush with the blue, the light blue, the frame. And then when I go to attach my pattern paper, that pattern paper is going to be raised because it's on top of the pink. And if I had, instead of using the white cardstock, if I used pink cardstock, then that pink layer would look more recessed, and then the pattern paper would be flush with the light blue frame. So it's just a little bit of a difference in that depth. The other thing to kind of keep in mind is where each of these segments go and the actual orientation. And my apologies that this is out of focus, but you want to make sure that if you are working with papers that are directional, that you make sure that you're cutting your matte layers in the right direction. And what I'm using are just scraps, actually, that are left over from a previous card making session. They are all from the same paper pad, which also included some pieces of ephemera. And that's the nice thing about a good cover die, because it really does make for some fast, effective, and easy card making, because you've got your entire panel all set here. Using a paper pad, all of your papers are going to look good together. They're going to be well coordinated. And if you have matching ephemera, then you even have a really nice focal point that you can create as well. And in fact, with a design like this, the reason why I chose this one is that if I just wanted to put a die cut sentiment or stamp a sentiment at the bottom where I've got that light blue solid area, then it would be even simpler, and really, the card would be about those beautiful pattern papers. So as I go to attach this panel here, I'm making certain to only put adhesive on the bottom half of my easel, my front of the card. And that's so that the top half is free to pop up when you do stand this up. And that's the only trick to making an easel card. Super, super easy. You just need to remember to only put adhesive on that bottom portion. And so now the last thing that I need to do is actually add a easel stopper. That way, the front of your card doesn't continue to kind of slide down as you see it doing here. And so all I have is another little strip of scrap pattern paper from the same paper pad, and I'm attaching some foam to this. Now this is my regular foam. It's about 2 to 3 millimeters thick, and I'm just using up all these little scrappy bits here. No one's gonna really see that, so it's fine that it's not a solid piece, but I do like to line this up so that I'm covering as much of this easel stopper as possible so that there isn't a saggy center, and it's nice and sturdy and will hold up that front panel. And so once I get this lined up, then I'll go ahead and collage up my ephemera pieces. So in this set, there's also, it came with some sentiments, so I'm gonna pop that onto my easel stopper here. So you won't see it when you first pull out the card, but when you go to display the card, then you'll see the sentiment. And I do like to wait until I've got the easel stopper in so that I can really preview what this looks like at the viewing angle that the card recipient's going to be looking at it. That way I can really make sure that I have things composed the way that it's going to be seen most of the time. And so that's the only reason why I didn't attach these ephemera pieces beforehand while everything was still nice and flat. I wanted to kind of leave it to this point so that I can just sort of play around with the composition a little bit and also preview what it looks like when the easel card is standing up. And I've just put some low profile foam behind my girl die cut here so that it really does look like she's in front of the little kitty cat, and it adds that little bit of extra dimension and shadow as well. And that's my card complete.